Hi, I'm Luann Worley with Rock and Book Reviews, and I'm so excited to be here today with Shanna Hatfield. Hi, Shanna.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and you look great, so you must be doing well.
I am doing well. Thank you. It's lovely to be here with you today.
You grew up on a farm, and much of your writing is based on experiences and events on a farm. Can you share with us a few memorable highlights of your life as you were growing up?
Absolutely. I grew up on a farm in Eastern Oregon, and it's considered high desert. So we had four very distinct seasons. And as a child, my favorite were the winter and summer seasons. Now, winter would not be in that list at all. But when I was a kid, we had this huge hill that we lived up on, and literally just out the back door we could go sledding in the winter. My dad would move the cattle out of that pasture and he'd take down part of the fence. And so we could literally like grab our sleds off the back porch and just down the hill we went. And at the bottom of the hill, we had a pond. And so if it was frozen, we could go skating. So it really was like an ideal childhood for a kid to have all that. I loved it. And then summertime was super fun, just to be able to run wild and free, or as free as you get with a lot of adult supervision on the farm. I spent a lot of time with my dad. I used to help him irrigate all the time, and I had my little jobs that I did, and it was just a great time to be a farm kid. And I love growing up that way. I love the country way of life, and I think it taught me a lot of life lessons. So I'm very grateful that I had that childhood.
So how many siblings do you have?
I have two older brothers and I had a sister. She passed away 16 years ago, but my parents got married young and they had 3 kids in 5 years, and they waited 14 years and then they had me. So my oldest brother's kids are, the oldest one is just 4 years younger than I am. So I was always like the oldest of the younger group.
So that's kind of like growing up as an only child in a way, isn't it?
Kind of, except there were always lots of people around. So.
Were they all close by?
They all lived within a mile, so really close
wow,
by.
that's wonderful to have family so close after they've been extended.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, besides being a best-selling author, you have written 4 books on entertaining in the home. What type of entertainment do these books cover?
They are super fun. One point in my life, I did direct sales for a company that sold products for entertaining at home. So it was beautiful dishes, home decor, even cookware. And you learned a lot from that company about how to entertain with more ease, because I think that whole concept of entertaining at home is off-putting. Like some people don't even know where to start. And so it's more about simplifying when you're having company over, little tips and tricks you can do, even things like how to set up a buffet table or seasonal decor. I'm big on themes for parties. It just makes entertaining so easy when you have a theme. And so my books have that. Each book covers a season. And so, you know, they can find everything from a snowman themed party to like a butterfly party in the summertime. And then they also have recipes in there. So lots of fun things, just sharing the things that I learned and some of the things I love, because I really do love to plan parties.
I wonder if my one daughter read your book, because she does everything in themes the last several years.
Oh, how fun.
So, you also have posted that you specialize in creative design and ideas. Please elaborate on that.
Oh, sure. Well, at one point in my life, I worked in marketing. And so it was fun for me to come up with promotional ideas, advertising campaigns, all those kind of things, even some advertising. And I just, I feel like that kind of also ties into the entertaining at home, that being creative and coming up with ideas, and that all works into my writing, whether I am designing a book cover or working on some social media cards, all of that stuff. I feel like just utilizes creativity, and you do have to kind of be innovative in your thinking with some of that. And so it's fun for me to do that because it uses a different part of my brain than I use when I'm writing. And so when my writing brain needs a break, I can play around with some graphics or something to get things jump started. But it's fun to have those different things that you do.
So do you design all your book covers?
I've done a lot of them. Recently, I've been hiring more of them out just so if I have more writing time, but I've done a lot of them in the past.
It's great because I love them. They're
Oh,
very
thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you.
So, and how long were you in marketing?
I did that for 10 years. And before that, I worked in the newspaper business for 10 years.
That's impossible. You look too young.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you.
You are really incredible looking.
Oh, thank you.
You look healthy too. Do you enjoy good health?
I do. My biggest vice is chocolate and ice cream. So
Well, if that's the worst, then I think you're okay. Okay. You have referred to your husband as Captain Cave Dweller. Can you explain why?
oh, sure. That's a fun one. So years ago, I think it was back in 2006, I just started writing a blog, and social media was just starting to be a thing. Anyway, so I was referring to him as best husband ever, which I think he is, but he was not thrilled with that title. And so one of my girlfriends and I brainstormed like this whole page worth of names we could use. And Captain Cave Dweller was the one that just jumped out because my husband could honestly live in a man cave and never come out. He would be perfectly content to just stay there. So Captain Cave Dweller is just the perfect name for him.
And him and my husband would get along great.
That's awesome.
But in an interview in 2013, you stated your favorite time in history was the Edwardian era. What is so enchanting about that time to you?
I think it's just such a beautiful era in history, so opulent, from the fashion to the hairstyles to the way they decorated their homes. It just was so beautiful. And I think the Gibson girl is such a fun representation of that era. I love Gibson's drawings. And there were also so many exciting new things happening then. More and more people were getting electricity and telephones. The Wright brothers took flight. The first silent film debuted. For the first time ever, women rallied together and spoke up, trying to get the right to vote. And it really was such a fascinating time, I think, of innovation and beauty before those dark days of World War I happened, because I don't think things were ever quite the same after that.
Yeah, and my parents grew up during that period, and it was really hard for them to communicate with me and to relate to me at all, because so much change had happened during their lifetime, more than any other time. I mean,
Yeah.
my children and grandchildren have some issues, with the generation difference, but still in the 60s, we had free love, we had drugs, we had all that stuff. And so it still wasn't that much different. It's increased, and technology has come in, which is totally, me and technology do not intermix well. But anyhow, it's just, I don't think any other time in the period of history that I know of did so much happen. I mean, she went from horse and buggy to man landing on the moon. And I mean, I remember when I used to like a lot of sci-fis, especially like The Day the Earth Stood Still way back when, before the new one came out. I don't like the new one, but and she thought that was ridiculous. Nobody is ever going to be able to, go in outer space. And yet she witnessed all this. And my dad went from a time where his handshake was as good as a paper contract, and his word was his oath. And he wouldn't break it for anything. He'd die before he'd break what he promised. And it was really devastating to them to go through this time, because all of a sudden those things that they valued the most and the things that they believed the most all changed.
Yeah.
So I think I'm with you. I think that's a really fascinating time of history where so much happened. And the Pinkertons, I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about your books that cover that era.
Oh, sure. Well, I have probably the one that lands squarely in that era the most is my Pendleton Petticoat series. The first one starts with a mail order bride who comes to the town of Pendleton, Oregon, and that's right in the early, right in 1900 era. And so from there, the series builds and goes on. Well, actually, I have a new release out that's tied to that series that starts in World War I. And so it really covers all those years of that era. And it was so much fun to write because there was so much stuff happening then and so many new inventions. And just, I go back and read old newspapers when I'm writing my books just to see what things would have been top of the mind to the people then. What were they reading about, or what things were important to them, or what were they even voting on, or even the chicken dinner news, as I call it, the neighborhood news. What was of interest to them back then? So there was a lot going on.
And the Pinkerton women really blew the minds of most men and even women.
Yes.
During that time.
Absolutely, they did.
So most of your writing has been contemporary and Western. Are you going to be writing more in the era that you like so well?
I am. I actually have I have a new series coming out. It's a holiday series. There's 4 books, and they start releasing November 30th. So the first book is one of my classic Westerns set in the 1880s. But the second book, it is set in 1914. And so, it's all about all the Edwardian stuff. It's wonderful. And it even has this beautiful mansion called Lennox Manor in it. And I loved researching ideas for the house. So that was a lot of fun. But that one will release on December 7th.
How exciting. So how many series do you have?
A lot. I have a lot.
It sounds like it. How do you keep your brain straight with all these things going on?
I have lots and lots of notes. Each series has its own character list. I even have lists of names for the dogs and the cats and who rides what horse, and all kinds of details. Just lots and lots of details help me keep it all straightened out in my head.
It amazes me how writers can do that. I'm more centered. I can't have too many things going on around me, or I'm bombarded. And
yes,
I have to stay focused. I can't have my mind going in 2 different directions. But so what about that time period did you dislike the most?
I think some of the worst things from that time period were the separation of classes, because I think that was still really, really prevalent then. And so, for people to be, those are the upper crust looking down so much on those with lower incomes, or, even those who didn't have any opportunities. I just felt like that was a bad thing, a hard thing from that period. And then I think too, the attitudes toward women and minority groups were harsh. They were very harsh. And even though I try and write fact as it was into my fiction, it's still something that I don't particularly like. I just feel like there were a lot of things that that I'm glad they've changed. I'm glad to see things different now than they were then.
It has taken a long time for us to get
Yes.
here. I
Yes.
remember even I was not aware of this when I was growing up because of my father and his many different friends in various cultures and stuff. And we went from comfortable living to very poor. We lost everything at one point in my life, and that's the first time I very unhappily discovered that there was people who looked down on you because you were poor, and it was very hurtful time. And so I kind of understand a little bit about how, everybody, because I've been through the more comfortable, acceptable life, and I've been through the dirt poor part. And so but like you said, all these things that I grew up with, I was on a small farm, and we had quite a large farm. And then after World War II, we lost a lot of it. And so by the time I was a child, we were living on a small farm. But like you said, there's values there that I really think is missing in the world today. But I appreciate the things I've learned, even though they were very painful at times. But
those are the lessons that stick with you the most.
Oh, yeah. But it makes you more compassionate to others. It helps you relate to them and understand better.
Yes.
And everything I've even thought critical has come back to bite me. So I'm very careful when I have a negative thought to push it out real quick.
Yes. Get it out of there.
So, but I agree with you. The World War II was different from the Edwardian, right?
Yeah, actually, well, that new series I was talking about, the Holiday Express series, one of the books is a World War II book. And so I love doing the research for World War II. There's just something about that era that grabs onto my heart and won't let it go. I feel so much for what the people went through, not just those fighting the wars, but those left at home behind. I just really feel for them. And so for me, the World War II books I write are very heartfelt, very, very heartfelt. And so I have a new one coming out on December 14th. And so this holiday series I'm releasing it's a generational series. And so you stay with the same family through 4 different generations. And so for me, that was a lot of fun to write that. So to hit my favorite Westerns, my favorite Edwardian area, my beloved World War II, and then the final book in that series is contemporary. And it centers on this steam engine named Hope is included in all the books. So hence the Holiday Express. It's a Holiday Express line that Hope runs on. And it's the Coleman family are the ones that, I won't give any spoilers, but them and the train go way back to the first book. And so it's a lot of fun to just incorporate this family and see how they grow with the times and change. So
how exciting. I love your writing. You
thank
put so
you.
much personality and humor and deep thought into it. And they are just wonderful.
My dad was always a bit of a storyteller, and he's a lot of fun. And so I think that's where I get my gift for humor and storytelling. I say it comes from him, and my love of reading came from my mom.
Well, you do well at it.
Thank you.
So that's also a credit to them. Okay. What has been the most challenging time of your career?
Well, I would say that was last year, and it had nothing to do with COVID. We lost my mom in April, and then my mom's 2 best friends died in July, and then one of my really good friends passed away in August, very unexpectedly. And so all of that loss and grief just made it really hard for me to write last year, especially because my books are have so much hope and humor in them, and it just was hard to get my mind back into that spot it needed to be into to write. And but now that we've made it through all the first, they always say once you get through the first birthday, the first Christmas, the first set of holidays, the first anniversaries, all those things, once you get past them, it gets easier. And I found that it has gotten easier this year, and I've been able to get back into my writing groove, which I'm really grateful for. But last year was a really, really hard year for me. So I'm happy to be back, feeling more on track, back in my writing groove.
That's wonderful. I can relate. My daughter and my mother died 2.5 months apart. And
I'm so
then
sorry.
I had a close cousin die shortly later. And but then last year we had a lot of close friends, several close friends, and a couple of cousins die. So, and it's hard. It's hard to go on, but my daughter and mother died in 2000, well, 2 and 3 over the holidays. And I can tell you that the void is always there, but it does, like you said, it gets better.
Yeah, it does.
So.
Well, I'm sorry for your losses. That's really hard.
Oh, well, it is for all of us. I mean, losing a parent is devastating, and so is losing a husband or a child.
Yes.
So
a loss is a loss, and
yeah,
it like you said, it leaves a void, but we go on.
Yeah, exactly. And some of us take longer to grieve than the others, but it does get better. Among your wonderful Christmas books, you've got a new series, and tell us about it. You just released one.
Yes, I did. It's Remembering Christmas, and it's part of my rodeo romance series. This series is just, if I had to sum it up in one word, I would say fun. It's these fun-loving rodeo cowboys and these sassy women who set them in their place, and it's just a really fun series. So Remembering Christmas is about a very dedicated career woman named Micah, and Micah works for a company. It's called Creekdale, and Creekdale goes in and they buy retirement facilities, retirement homes that need renovated, and her job is to go in and basically decide what needs done and then make it happen. And so Micah is in Las Vegas working on a property, and her family comes to visit, and so they talk her into going to the rodeo. And the National Finals Rodeo, they sometimes have what they call a kiss cam. So if the camera will pan on a couple in a crowd, they're supposed to kiss. And so it's just a fun thing. So in the story, Mike is at the rodeo and the camera lands on her, and this guy, she doesn't know who he is or anything about him, that's beside her. And so the crowd keeps cheering for them to kiss, and so they kiss. And then they go their separate ways. They don't know each other's names. They don't know anything about each other. And so fast forward 18 months, and Micah is arriving in this new town for a new job at this property her company has purchased. And there's an elderly woman visiting friends at the facility, and she needs a ride home. So Micah, being Micah, says she'll take her home. And so she drives her out to this ranch where the aunt lives with her nephew. Well, the nephew turns out to be Trevor, the guy she kissed in Las Vegas. And so there's all these sparks flying right from the start. And the Aunt Marv is just this kooky old lady, and she's so fun to write about. And she and Trevor have this really fun relationship. And so for me, I had way more fun than I probably should have had writing this story. But Aunt Marv is just a kick in the pants, and I think everybody needs an Aunt Marv in their life. So anyway, this book is a lot of fun. And I also, the Rodeo Romance series is special to me because it's what got me started with my Read a Book, Help a Cowboy campaign. And what that is I try and raise funds and awareness from October 1st through Christmas Eve for the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund. And the Crisis Fund, it steps in when a rodeo athlete gets injured to the point they can't compete for an extended period of time, because most athletes in the rodeo business aren't insured. So if they aren't working, they don't have any income. And so the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund donates 100% of all donations to them. So I like contributing to a cause that I know every penny I donate goes to someone who needs it. And so the JCCF is just an awesome organization. And this is my 8th year for my Read a Book, Help a Cowboy campaign. And what I do is I donate 10% of my proceeds from every book sale to them during that October through Christmas Eve period. And so I love being able to contribute to them. And I feel like it's giving back a little to these guys that inspire all my rodeo books. So
That's wonderful. And we'll post the website on
perfect.
blog, and
Yeah,
so that others can donate as well.
absolutely. They just go to that website and donate. And if they want more information, they can go to my website and click on the Give Back tab, and it has some more information on my program.
And you have a giveaway.
I have a giveaway. So one lucky person's going to get an autographed copy of Remembering Christmas and some fun swag to go along with it. So make sure you enter.
That sounds fantastic. Do you have any final comments you'd like to make before we close today?
I just want to say thank you so much for hosting me. It was lovely to get to chat with you today, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I want to wish you and all the readers out there very, very happy holiday season.
And we wish you the same. It's been my pleasure and joy to have you here. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Okay, and this is Lou Ann Worley closing out for Brock and Book Reviews, hoping that everyone will search the universe through books. And bye now.